today I'm excited. I am here with Dave at Inspirational Book Writers, and we are going to be jamming about publishing and writing books and all of the things. And this is a process I've been in. Actually, I think, when did I do the book writing intensive with you? When was that? Back in October? Or?
October. Yep, October last year.
Yeah. So it's pretty wild. I met this guy through we were in a mastermind day together. And I instantly was like, I like this guy's vibes. And I liked everyone in the group. I love Australians. I don't know what it's about with Australians, but just love how just straightforward people are in Australia and like no BS, at least the people that I've met. And I was like, oh, I want to write a book. Like I wrote a book 5 years ago, never published it. And then I kind of had this like feeling of like, okay, I have another book that I want to write that I actually want to publish. And you said that I could write my entire book in a week. And I thought you were full of shit, but I was like, that sounds like a D thing to do. Like I like to rip off the Band-Aid and just get things done. I don't like long drawn out processes where it's like, it's going to take you a year or 2 years. Like I'll forget about it because I'm a creative, right? So I did your intensive and I wrote I would say 90% of the book, and I had to miss multiple days because I had my mastermind on the weekend and I had a migraine for 2 days, which was my resistance getting in my own way. But I still wrote 90% of my book and I was just blown away by the process. So I'm excited to chat with you about this today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for having me on and sharing that. And yeah, I mean, I have had that before, that people go, yeah, this guy's full of shit. Right? You can't do it in a week. Especially the people that have that have taken 3 years to write a book. It's so offensive that someone could do it in a week.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the way we've set it up. This is not just just pulling a thing out of the air. There's a method to how we've consistently been able to get books out of people. And yeah, where do we start? I could tell a little bit about that maybe.
Yeah, please do.
Because I think when people go to think about doing a book, they think it's this big thing. I think and yes, there are many moving pieces. It can be very overwhelming. But, at the simplest level, if you want a book, what do you need to do? You need to write words. So we're all about simplifying and also creating a container. The real magic behind how it happens in a week is the container and the way that it's set up. Because what stops people is a book has so many micro decisions to be made. Do I write this story? Is that too much? Is that not enough? Is that, if I tell that story, is it going to make me look silly, or is it actually going to improve my credibility? Or is it actually going to relate to the reader and help, connect with my customer? There's so many of these micro decisions that if you do it in a week and you've got support there to just go, hey, I'm thinking, I'm at a fork in the road. Do I go this way or this way? You get that advice, just like that. You can make the decision and move on. And so I guess that's one part of it. And, at the simplest level, I don't know what you were like at school, Deidre, but an assignment that takes 12 weeks at school, how many people would do it in the last 2 days?
Right. Everyone.
So many.
Or anyone who's a procrastinator, right?
So many. And so what we just do, we just take out that 12 weeks and 5 days. We just take that out and go, right, you're here for a week. Let's focus. Let's create the supportive environment. Because I think there's a vulnerability too that comes with writing a book. So you need to be in a environment where people know that that's what you're going through. I think it's the lack of willingness to go into vulnerability that stops people from writing a book, and also stops people from getting it out there, because you work on show. So how okay are you with being on show, with being seen?
Right.
And I know these are lots of topics that you talk about with your clients, about being seen and shining your light. And that was one thing that I really vibed about your brand, is how much you light people up. And that's really what this is about, while recognizing, when a book is at its seed stage, it needs to be protected so that it can grow.
One of my favorite things, I mean, there's a few, now I'm working with you guys on like the publishing and the editing side, which is really cool. And I just really like, what I really appreciate about you is, so for me, and I think a lot of people who are listening or watching who, maybe you have a vision. Like for me, I've had this vision, years ago, of all of the things that I know that I'm here to do. And I think a lot of us have that, of like vision of being on stage, getting a TEDx, writing a book, whatever it is, helping thousands of people, whatever it is for you. And when actually we're met with opportunities to actually fulfill that, it can be really challenging to say yes. We can get in our own way and say, it's not the right time, I don't have the money, whatever. And it's like our ego getting in our own way and potentially sabotaging us from actually having that breakthrough, which is resistance. And what I really love about you in this process is I've had a couple of those pieces come up in the process. The first 2 days of the writer's retreat, I had a migraine. I never get a migraine. Like I think I may have had a migraine once in my life. And I knew, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my upper limiting, manifestation in my body, blocking me from doing something that I know that I'm here to do. And so oftentimes when we have those opportunities to go to that next level, whether it's getting the support, being in a container, being vulnerable, being seen, sharing deeper parts of ourselves, this stuff comes to the surface. And you guys hold such a great space throughout the week of checking in, of prompts, of support. And, I had an accountability partner, and it was just flow state the whole time. Like the actual time I spent writing the book, like the actual time I spent that entire week might have been like 5 hours. And I'm not kidding you. And it's like, sometimes the things that we think are too good to be true, I mean, you should be like cautious with some things, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's actually like there's a person who has a process that really works. And I know, Dave, with the work that I do with supporting people are blown away by the results that I get. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't think you can do that. That can take years. Well, yeah, because you're not in the container, but people who are in the container know the magic. And I know it's the same for this. So it's like, in a week, you can write your book, guys. It's nuts. It just happens.
I love that you said that you were in a flow state, because that is exactly what we designed the container to be.
Yeah.
So my background is I played, I really wanted to be a professional rugby player, but I made it like a couple of steps before there. So for me, getting into a flow state was something that I practiced for 20 years of hard physical training. And I've studied it a lot, and the way we set things up, there's so many things in the background, like the way we set up the frames before you even enter, the suggestions, like, our team is all trained in coaching and hypnosis and some in energy medicine. So there's all these like things in the background that most of the book writers don't even know about. They just walk into the space. Some come in still not believing they can get it done in a week, but then they hit that flow state. I've seen people be blocked for we've done 27 of these write your book in a week programs now.
Wow.
And I've seen people be blocked for the first 3.5 days, 4 days. They're getting into day 5. They're starting to freak out because they've only got 7 days to write their book, and they're like, it's not going to happen. And I'm like, you trust in the process, trust in the drop is coming. The drop is coming. Yeah. And then they just surrender, and they go, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to listen to what this guy's saying, and I'm just going to give it a go. And boom, the book comes down like a lightning bolt. Yeah. They wake up in the morning and they come to breakfast and they're like, yeah, here it is. I did it. And we're like, you didn't have a book last night. And they're like, yeah, but I do this morning. And that's the magic of what we do. And I know it seems surreal or unreal if you haven't experienced it, but there's 200 books on the shelf behind me. All of them, that's how it's happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, and also it's like, as you said, it's like a lightning bolt. And this is the choice. Like, we get to choose how we engage with life. We get to choose everything is always a choice. We can take the long path because we're programmed. Oh, a book should take 2 years. It should take a year. It should be a lot of pain. It should be really difficult. Or we can actually be like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this in a week, and I'm going to trust in the process because it's what I'm choosing. And I think that in life, we always have a choice, and oftentimes we choose based on our programming and based on what people have told us. And then when we're met with an opportunity for any kind of accelerated change or growth or whatever it is, you know, we have that opportunity to trust and just say yes and say, I'm choosing this anyways. And then that's where more and more and more flow can happen in all areas of life and business, which is super, super cool to see. Right.
I love what you just said. It's, for us, it's the same thing. It's our actual tagline of the business is unearth the power of your message to accelerate your personal and business evolution.
Love it.
Because if you can get a book down in a week, then, and previously you perceived that to be something really big and tough and difficult, but it happened with such grace and ease and so fast, then what else is possible for your evolution?
Yes. Yeah.
And we just see it time and time again, people that go, that like the book is the catalyst for opening of a new chapter, going to the next level, accelerating the development to the next level. Yeah. It's the golden handshake that opens the door to where people want to go. And that's, you know, just on a personal level, Deidre, I love books because whenever I've had a problem in my life, I've read books and books have solved my problems.
Yes. I just got goosebumps.
Just simple as that. I've had many problems in my life,
yeah,
and I've read many books and the books have solved the problems. And so just from my heart, I know how powerful books can be. And I know that the people that we work with have inspiration, have transformation, have tools, technology, stories, frameworks that can solve other people's problems, that can raise consciousness. And don't we need that out in the world right now? Like consciousness just needs up, you know, and even if we're not going for as lofty a goal as to raise consciousness, but just to give people some hope and uplift people, you know, I think that's what it's all about. And, you know, that's why I love working with people like yourself, because I mean, I was fortunate to see the early stages of your manuscript, and I'm like, damn, like, just you're doing such great work, and it's transformation is happening so fast, but with such ease. And I just feel the people shining after reading about what they're doing with you. And I'm like, that's why we do what we do, because the world needs more of what you're doing and what the viewers to this are doing. And yeah, if I may be so lofty, this is my humble mission to make a difference in the world.
Yeah, I love that. And what I love about it is it's really about, so my mission is to wake up as many people as possible to the truth of who they are and who they're meant to be. And it feels like yours is to help those people get their message out there through books. And books are such a small investment. Like, to work with me, my lowest program is $2,000, right? And you know, I could charge more for it. You know, we all have different programs and things that we offer in the world, and we do things so that we can support different people, but there needs to be other stages, right? And I think a book is such a great foundational step for someone who's like not ready to jump into a program yet, doesn't really know you yet, doesn't really know what you're about, or maybe just is in a place where they can't afford to potentially jump into a bigger program. And I know that you have a book, like you have multiple books that you've done as well. So you have it nearby. So you know,
this is the one, this is Right Published Launch, which is based on our system. And it's exactly as Deidre said, like, I wrote this to be like, to give to people and be like, here, take this. If this resonates with you, if you're on board with the methodology, with the vibe, with the way we do things, if it's sounding good to you, if it's making sense, if you can see the vision that we see for you, give us a call. Come and do work with us, because we'd be a great fit. And then at the same time, if you don't vibe with it, because for whatever reason you don't, like maybe you look at me and you go, he's got a shaved head, I really dislike shaved heads, I'm out.
Yeah.
like, it doesn't really matter what the reason is,
Yeah.
then awesome. So for those people in business, it can be a real sales qualifier and an attraction of an even more ideal client. Like, I just love getting on the phone with people that have read this, because it's like, all right, so there's just no, I don't have to explain anything to them. It's just like, okay, so what do you want to do with your book? And we just go straight to the vision.
Right. And another thing I really love about this is it shows a level of commitment in the world. Like, if you are writing a book and you're putting it out there, you're like, hey, I'm serious about what I do, especially if you're sharing, stories, testimonials, all the things. Like, I know in my book, it's a blend of a lot of different pieces, but it's really like, this is who I am. Like, this is who I am. This is what I'm all about. And someone can really learn a lot from that they may not actually get from your website, and so it's just a deeper level of credibility, and also that you are really all in with your message and what you're doing in the world. And what I love about it too, and what I've noticed about the process of writing my book with you guys is, the first like 3 or 4 chapters of my book is basically just setting people up for the work. Because it's like, I can talk about things online or in programs, and I teach on different things, but if people don't know the language, if people don't know the metaphors that are really important for framing up the work, it won't make sense, and things will potentially get misunderstood. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit on this, like what your experience has been in your business when you first brought your first book out, and maybe some other stories of other people that you've worked with, because I just feel like it's such a bridge. It bridges a gap of lack of understanding, that people are like, oh, I get it. Like, I get everything now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome. So probably the first story to tell is my own personal story of back in 2014. I was building my business as a coach. I just wasn't doing that good. I think I was doing $3,000 a month, make like 36 grand a year, living in the city in Melbourne, just scooting by. It's like not a lot of money to live on in the city. And I was like, how do I expand this? Like, how do I take it? I don't know. I need something to solidify what I'm doing and take me to the next level. Someone suggested to me I write a book, and it just clicked in my head. So I went and did it.
Right.
It was only 12,000 words. It was 50 pages. But what it was a statement of what I believe to be true and what I stand for. It was very much that flag planting thing. So at that stage, I was what I would call like the rising star. I was the new kid on the block. I had some great results with clients, still hadn't really figured the business side of things out, was starting to get known a few places, but not really. The book just solidified that. And honestly, the cover was crap. It was like not a pretty cover, which is strange, because I really do think people judge a book by its cover. But that 50-page book put me on the map. And so I went from $3,000 a month. Within 60 days, I was doing 25 grand a month in one-on-one coaching. And it was because people could find me on the book and find that book and go, I'm going to try this guy out for a couple of dollars or $20 for the book. I like what he's saying. Okay. And then the credibility was there because I had something published. I all of a sudden started selling $5 grand upfront packages. Now that changed my world. So from a rising star level, and I've seen that time and time again with those people who are the rising stars of the industry, that's how that works for them. Then at the other end of the scale, you've got like the people who are well established and they've been around for years, but just for some reason they don't have a book. And I think for those people, it almost gets to the point, if you've been around 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years in your industry, it gets to the point where people go, well, why don't they have a book? Like, they're so established.
Right.
And so we get both the rising stars and the experts who are like, my work just needs to come out of me. And so, we've worked with, I think of one particular leadership coach based out of Sydney. We first met her in 2018. So experienced, 20 years in the field, coached people, organizations all over the world, no books. She goes, I'm going to change this. Today in 2022, she's got 5 books out in the world, thanks to IDW. And her books were a contributing factor to her being recognized by a university in Thailand with a PhD in leadership for her services to the field of leadership.
Wow.
And one of the big factors in that was they go, well, look at your published books. And so for her, it was a claiming of, yes, I know what I'm talking about. Here is the published evidence of it. And then the doors that open from that, the speaking gigs, the credibility, the clients that just, they just start paying with more ease because the evidence, like the proof is out there. It's like, there it is. Like if anyone sees this live and is like, is this guy legit? I'm like, there's 200 books on my shelf. This is what we've been doing since 2014. Like, it's pretty hard to argue with that.
Totally. And on top of that, I only support and put people out there who are really high level, the best at what they do. Those are the people that I work with only with my business. So it's like anyone that I put out there, I have a really good filtering system, So so books are proof of that you're all out there. It's really good for people who are wanting to hit their next level of business. If you're already out there and you're wanting to get more opportunities, I'm going into your next writing intensive this April. And I wrote my first book. It's going to be coming out in June. We're in the process of the edits and all of that. But I'm going to have my second book, probably completely done in the month of it's actually going to be celebrating my birthday with you guys, my 33rd birthday, and I'm going to use
amazing
book. Yeah, so I'm super
amazing.
excited.
What day is that?
The 5th.
The 5th. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I'm excited, and it's full circle because the second book is on something personal. I won't share it yet because I'm talking about the first book out into the world, but it's something that I recently came into completion with as far as learning the lessons around it. And I knew that this spring I would have the ending of the book, and I have the ending. So I'm really excited, and I'm just really excited to invite anyone who's listening or watching today, to be a part of this. I know that we're wrapping up for time here, but I'm going to add the link below to Dave's week intensive, writing intensive that's happening the first week of April. I'm going to be a part of it, and it's magical. I'd love to invite you if you feel called, if you're feeling called to write a book. Anything else that you'd like to share, Dave, as we begin to wrap up?
No, I think that's awesome, Deidre. It's really well covered it. As you were saying that your birthday's the 5th, and you bring your new book through. You might know I follow the astrology. There's some very powerful things happening about that time. New moon in Aries.
Oh, really?
It's kickoff. It's kickoff and activate.
Oh, and this April. This
April. Really good times for moving forward. And that's something else another layer that we bring in. I grew up as a fisherman with the tides and the best times for fishing and all of this. Same with books. I really consider, okay, when are we going to schedule this so that, I'm a student of the astrology, I'm a student of the seasons, a student of nature. When is this best going to align for people to get their books out? And like you just said, it's all lining up for you. So yeah, if you're someone watching this and you're curious, please get in touch. Please drop me an email or drop me a message. Happy to chat with you, see where you want to take your book. But yeah, it's going to be super exciting, and 2 books coming out very soon, Deidre. Holy Batman.
It's so crazy because this has led me to so many different places. I could go on for hours about it, but I feel like I'm supposed to be a multiple time author. I think that's what I'm supposed to do, is just write more and more books. If that just, I see that, and I'm just surrendering to the flow. I'm trusting in the process, and just so much gratitude for you and what you do. And I'll also send this out to my email list. So if anyone's interested in tuning in and joining this intensive, then you guys all have the information below. Lots of love to everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.